Brian Kingston, President and CEO of the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association. Thanks so much for your time. What will this mean in practical terms for prices? Will consumers be paying more now?
No, this doesn't have an impact on prices or the current vehicle market in Canada. And the reason is because this is a preemptive measure. The federal government is doing this to ensure that we are aligned with the Americans on the approach to China. We don't currently have Chinese manufacturers selling vehicles in the Canadian market. So it won't have an impact today. What it does do is it buys time for our industry in North America to stand up an EV supply chain. We've seen over $40 billion in new investments since 2020, but we need a bit more time for those facilities to come online and start producing vehicles.
Will Canada's EV supply manufacturers, will they be able to keep up with demand? I mean, EVs are becoming more popular. You talked about how it will take some time to build up that industry. Will they be able to keep up with the demand?
Absolutely. If you look back to 2012, there were only 3 EV models in the Canadian market. Today, there are over 80, and not a week goes by where you don't see a new announcement about an EV coming into the market at increasingly competitive prices. Where the challenge is we are trying to create a North American battery supply chain. Right now, that supply chain is largely dominated by China. Canada is perfectly positioned to play a role in this because we happen to have all of the minerals that go into EV batteries. So with this measure, Canada is aligning with the Americans, which is important for our trade relationship, and it's creating some space to allow the industry to ramp up the North American battery supply chain.
So do you see that Canada's industry will be able to cope with 100% of supply, or do you see that we will still have to bring in EVs from other countries like the US?
Yeah, I think the bigger challenge with meeting the 100% target that's set by 2035 isn't whether or not auto manufacturers can actually produce those vehicles. They absolutely can, and they're investing billions of dollars to make that happen. What we're seeing right now, though, is sales are at about 12.9%. Electric vehicles of total vehicle sales. They're not increasing at the pace we need to hit these very aggressive government targets. And that's largely because of concerns around charging infrastructure. So we've got to get that right. But I can assure you the vehicles will be there for Canadians. We just have to get all of those prerequisites in place to help Canadians switch to electric.
We know that competition is what's needed to bring down prices. So are you sure that by cutting out the market from electric vehicles from China, even if Canada can keep up with the demand, that consumers won't be paying more for electric vehicles if they go to purchase one?
There is a price gap right now between electric vehicles and gas-powered vehicles. It's about $14,000, but because of all of the investment that manufacturers are making into this sector, we are seeing prices start to come down across vehicle segments. So you will see price parity achieved with gas-powered vehicles. The challenge with Chinese EVs is that we're not necessarily competing here on a level playing field. So while there may be arguments that you should bring in these subsidized or dumped vehicles, you absolutely cannot do that at the expense of Canada's automotive industry, which is responsible for hundreds of thousands of jobs and critically important to our trade relationship with the United States. So prices will come down. We just need more time for the supply chain to ramp up.
All right, Brian Kingston, President and CEO of the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.